Blackfire is a great profiling tool for PHP. However, setting it up in LocalWP and profiling WordPress websites is not quite straightforward. So here I am going to show you how to use Blackfire in order to do performance analysis on a website running within LocalWP. So I have this website blackfire.local, which is set up within LocalWP, and I am going to do a run of Blackfire on the homepage to see how long it takes for this homepage to render, which functions are called, what is taking up most time, and similar profiling stuff. So in order to do this, first you need to actually install Blackfire, and for that you should follow the installation steps on the Blackfire website. And after you have done that, you should have Blackfire installed on your PHP CLI. And if you type into your terminal php-m, you should see that Blackfire is one of the activated Zend modules. Okay, so after Blackfire has been installed on your computer, now we need to add it to this blackfire.local website. And in order to do that, we need to transfer the configuration file to LocalWP, and we need to point to the extension path in LocalWP. So in order to do this, first we need to find where is this Blackfire module on your computer. In order to do that, there are several ways, but I guess for me the easiest way is to type in php-i, and then I will pipe it into less just to make it easier to read. And then there is this extension dir option, which points to the directory where all your extensions are. So I'm going to copy that value, and I'm going to list all the contents of that directory, and here I should see Blackfire, and I do. And so that is the first thing. Now we know that the path to Blackfire is this. So this is the path to Blackfire. So I could do like Blackfire path, just so that we don't forget. Okay. Now, next thing is I need to find Blackfire configuration. And for that, I can again type in php-i and then pipe it into less. And then if I search for Blackfire, here I will see that this is under the additional INI files that were parsed. And here I can see that Blackfire is one of them. So I'm going to copy the path to that file, and then I'm going to output the contents of that file, and this is the Blackfire configuration. All right, and so now the last thing I have to do is I just have to add this configuration to LocalWP, and I need to fix this extension path to point to this path that we have defined over here. All right, so I'm going to copy all of this, and then I'm going to go into my local Blackfire site. So it is here, and then we have directories app, conf, and logs. In this case, we go to conf, and then PHP, and then there is php.ini.handlebars. And here at the bottom, I'm just going to paste all of the Blackfire configuration. And here, I'm just going to replace this with the path that we have found before, which is right over here. So I'm going to do that. Boom. All right. All right. And now after I have done that, I'm going to restart the site. And then I'm going to check the PHP configuration for the site. And I should see Blackfire running on the site. So let's see. Yes, so it is with Blackfire. Okay, so now that the website is running Blackfire, we can use the Blackfire extension in order to do profiling on this website. So I just click on profile and Blackfire is gonna do its thing. Then it is going to load the data and display it in a separate window. If I click on, well, I can view the timeline or the call graph. And so I can click on that. That's going to take me to blackfire.io. And here I can see a detailed profiling information of this site. And it is automatically sorted by the thing that takes most time. And obviously that is the apply filters from WordPress, because that is the function that gets called the most. It gets called 251 times. And then you can see a lot of information over here. I'm not going to go into interpreting this information. That is for another video. But after you have done this, and if you know how to analyze this information, then you are ready to start optimizing the website. But I'm just going to say some brief details about this information. So here in calls, this tells you how many times a function gets called. And then there is this percentage excluding and percentage including. So, and if you hover over it, it's going to tell you exactly like the exclusive cost and the inclusive cost. So what do these two things mean? So exclusive cost means how much time did it take for this function to run, not including any other functions that this function calls. So just this function. So if this function, for example, had some big for loop that runs 1,000,000 times, it would have a big exclusive cost because that entire for loop runs within that function. And then the inclusive cost is how much time did it take to run this function and all the function that this function calls. And so the inclusive cost is always going to be higher than the exclusive cost. And here it says that the exclusive cost is 14.3 milliseconds, but that includes all the 251 calls that all the times that this function was called. So this is not actually, that doesn't actually mean that this function takes 14 milliseconds. That's the sum of how much it took every single time it got called. So those are important things to know. Here you can see another thing that is important, and that is peak memory. And then there is also memory-oriented visualization. So if your website is using too much RAM, you can analyze why that is going on here. So perhaps if you load a massive file, that could eat up a lot of RAM, and it could cause issues with your website. There's a lot more here that we could go over, but as I said, I will leave that for another video. And this is all you need to know to get started profiling with Blackfire.